I'm always excited to have another physician here exploring this space of holistic approaches and integration of science and spirituality.
There's not a whole lot of us, but the numbers are gradually increasing, and I believe that there are many physicians in closet
Yes.
that they would come out as they see people like you and me just be open about it.
We've been so conditioned sometimes in what we've been told, and when you start looking at these things, you're surprised that this isn't something that more physicians know about.
Exactly, and why is it not taught in medical school?
Right.
I never heard anything about energy in medical school.
Exactly, right?
Even nutrition, I didn't hear a lot about it.
Right.
So yes, this is amazing. Now that I have done some energy work, I recognize that no matter what kind of face you put on for your patient, you enter the room, they feel your energy. When your energy is chaotic, it's going to create chaos in that room.
Yes.
And the patient feels it. And the patient is probably in chaotic energy anyway because they have an issue that, you know, especially in my field, you have cancer. How more chaotic can it get? And you come to a space to get healing, and whether the physician like me knows it or not, we are exchanging energy with that patient.
Definitely. That has been one of my challenges in this transition, is really understanding the energetics, because that's something we don't learn in medical school.
Exactly.
You know, and it's one of the most important parts that's truly missing in our healthcare system. Is you know, inclusion of looking at how it affects not only our bodies but our emotional states and really our connection to the spirit.
Exactly.
And so, how did you come, you know, to realize how energy can be helpful in healing people and, of course, healing yourself?
Started with my own healing journey. Because of more than a decade of severe childhood trauma, I had developed depression, clinical depression, even before my burnout in 2012. This goes back to 1990, when I couldn't sleep. Then it just gradually turned into really chronic insomnia, like 30 years of it, and then clinical depression, and I had PTSD. And like a good physician, I did all the things that Western medicine had to offer me. I did a lot of therapy, I took medications, antidepressants, medication for sleep. I did transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS. I was getting worse. Only one of the reasons I was getting worse was side effects of the medications I was taking, right? And they don't tell you these things. I mean, they write it in fine print, but even as a physician, when you're in that mental state, you really don't know which is causing it. Is it the depression that I want to kill myself, or is it the medication, right? Because one of the side effects of antidepressants is suicidal ideation, like that. So eventually I got to a point that my psychiatrist, I remember the day, I remember his face, he said, I have nothing else to offer you. And I came out of his office, sat on the bench that was outside of his office, not knowing what to do, because I was in such a bad shape. I was like, where do I go? What do I do? What does it even mean I don't have anything else for you? What do I do here, right? So I went and tried plant medicine in Costa Rica. It's unfortunately not even legal in majority of our country yet. So that was the beginning of experiencing something out of this realm.
Yes.
Firsthand, not anybody telling you, but you know, I had a near-death experience during my plant medicine, and wow, it's like, wow, there's something different that I haven't been taught. And that's how it started. And then shortly after, two modalities showed up in my social media, which now I offer them. One of them is Kundalini activation process, or CAP, and the other one is called Make Anything Possible, or MAP. To start with MAP, after 30 years of therapy, my childhood traumas were not neutralized. In 6 sessions of MAP, my childhood traumas were neutralized.
Wow.
And I'm talking about 10 years of sexual abuse. I'm talking emotional, physical, mental abuse for much longer than that. So to neutralize that in 6 sessions, like, what is this? I have never, I wish I knew this like 30 years ago, right? And then CAP was also at the same time, and somebody telling me that you lay down, you close your eyes, and you listen to music for 60 minutes, and it's going to change your life. I'm like, clueless, right? And when I saw the changes in my life, shortly after I was off all my medications, I did not need therapy for the first time, not first time, maybe second time, because my sexual abuse started at age 4. So I had forgotten about joy and peace and all of that at age 4, and now so many decades later, I'm like, wow, there is such a thing as joy. I'm happy, I'm peaceful, I experience a state of bliss. So foreign to me, and my mind is quiet. It doesn't talk. Wow, this is like amazing. So that is why I'm like, I have to offer these to people, whether they're my patients or they're not. And it has been an amazing journey, but like many of us, we go through dark night of the soul, and hero's journey begins there. And fortunate or unfortunate, we have got here through our own suffering.
It's a very unique strategy, because it's not only deals with your cognitive in terms of thinking about the trauma and whatnot, but it also delves into the energetics and can tap into the subconscious. And it's something that can be incorporated with the traditional therapies. So it can be added on to many other types of treatment. So they're very powerful.
Yes.
And CAP as well, because you always hear about Kundalini, like, what is that? And you hear about it from, you know, the Indian traditions, and you hear about poses that are Kundalini yoga. So there's a lot of different interpretations and different methods, but can you talk a little bit about your particular method?
The two major differences between Kundalini activation process, CAP, versus say Kundalini yoga or Kundalini breath, other modalities, is that those other modalities are effort-based. You as an individual, you're doing something. You're either breathing or you're whatever you're doing. One of the examples of it, good examples of it, is Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditation. He has a meditation, pineal gland meditation, which takes 4 hours. And I used to be his student before I learned about CAP and MAP. And I used to get up at 4 a.m. and do 4 hours of pineal gland meditation until 8 a.m. And what it does in that meditation, it basically starts awakening your Kundalini, your root chakra, and with breath and a lot of effort. He was teaching this breath. I had gone to his retreat, and it was for me personally, it was difficult. And then you're trying to bring this energy into your crown chakra, and you can, you know, it can happen. But the difference between CAP and those modalities, that CAP is ease-based. As you have experienced, you just lay down and listen to music. You don't have to do anything. Exactly. And it's a transmission of energy from your facilitator. And the energy, the direction is from your crown to root, opposite direction of the other modalities. And because it's ease-based, because we as human beings are not in charge, because coming from ego, we want it fast, and we wanted more. Ego always wants more and faster. We're impatient. Sometimes in those other modalities, a person who is too eager to awaken their Kundalini, they may do more than their system can handle. Because like you know, just like plant medicine or anything else, integration after the modality is even more important than the modality itself. And if you don't give yourself that period of integration, then you can cause side effects. CAP is 100% safe because the energy is in charge. You don't decide what to receive, the energy decides. So I have done this for almost 5 years for myself, and I still do it for myself. I have my own facilitator, and I have never ever had any side effects. I always say the only side effect of CAP is that your life gets better.
Also, I'm very excited about your new modality that you just shared with me recently, the BioWell, and it's a way to measure our aura, our energetic system, because it's one of those things that is in the subtle energy world, and oftentimes people don't understand it, and sometimes when you can't see it, then people don't believe it.
One of the things that I'm really passionate about, and I'm sure you are too, is empowering the patients. We have to awaken your own inner healer, and you get your power back. There are so many things you can do for yourself. And one of the things that is really fascinating about BioWell, this machine is really a camera, but instead of taking picture of your physical body, take picture of your energetic body. And what is fascinating, because my other passion is about prevention, whether it's cancer or anything else, prevention is the key. When you get a scan with BioWell that shows your energetic body, this is really 6 months before anything happens in your physical body.
Wow.
Right. So when you know where is lack of balance and you focus on it with so many modalities, then you prevent that thing that may happen 6 months from now. And I think this is the time. I used to do genetic testing for people who had family history of cancer, and my the statement I kept telling them was that the best time to cure cancer is when you haven't gotten it yet.
Right.
So how do you address cancer when you even know you have gotten or not? So this is very exciting for me, because this little camera gives you so much information about your different organs, your aura, your chakras, your meridians, your biorhythm. I mean, wealth of information that it gives you, that you can just focus and do preventive measures and then repeat the scan, and you see the changes immediately.
What's really important in the holistic approach is really getting in sync with our natural rhythms, with our biorhythms,
Exactly.
and all of the, even our 24-hour circadian clocks.
Right.
All of us are out of sync many times because of our schedules and what we're exposed to.
Right.
So simply just returning back to that will lead us to a better health and wellness.
A major distinction that people need to make, because inflammation is becoming a buzzword. Inflammation in acute phase, such as you have fever and chills and body pain or whatever because you got a bacterial infection, that's good. Acute inflammation is really good. That is a sign that your immune system is working, right? Now, chronic inflammation is not good. Right? You have sugar in your diet or many other toxins that is in our food and our air and everything, you're going to be in a state of chronic inflammation, and that is the root of diseases. That's where diseases begin. But acute inflammation is really good.
Yes.
So we were talking earlier about how, for example, radiation is an oxidizing agent because it causes free radicals. Well, when you have a bacteria in your body, your own immune systems are creating free radicals.
Yes. Because
that's the weapon to kill the bacteria. But do you want free radicals in your body 24/7 for the whole year? No, you don't. Right. That's a chronic state of having too much free radicals, which damages your DNA. So this distinction has to be made.
Right.
That, oh, inflammation is bad. No, acute inflammation is really good. You don't want to suppress that.
Right. It's the same thing for stress. Right?
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
you need a certain amount of stress to be able to overcome things or to get away from danger.
Right.
But if you have chronic stress, then that
That's
becomes
not
a big problem, and you have adrenal insufficiency and fatigue. And one of the things I'm really passionate about is this concept of integration. It's not one or the other.
I think one of the major myths is that mind, body, spirit are separate, or even physical, energetic body are separate. They're not. There's absolute no separation. Holistic, integrative approach is the only way.
Yes.
Because otherwise you're just addressing one part and leaving the rest. You're not integrating the whole thing. Western medicine, when it comes to mind, they send you to psychiatrists.
Yes.
We don't talk about mind here. We just do body. Spirit, that's woo-woo.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So don't even talk about the spirit with me.
Yeah. We did talk about one side effect of you being a facilitator is that you can absorb and harness those energies much more than the average person.
All of us, whether we are just simple empath or we are energy healer, we need to have routines for cleansing.
Yes.
And I do so by every morning, physically, every morning when I take a shower, I visualize a golden light coming from my head, pouring as the water pours. I visualize that it's washing not only my body, but also all of the energies that don't belong to me.
Yes.
And then at nights, before I go to bed, I mentally visualize that this golden light is coming, going through my chakras one by one, and clear those. So we definitely, but more than that, just more than anybody else, we need time alone. We need self-care. We need being in nature. We need a good water, such as Kangen water. We need good food, healthy food. I'm a raw vegan. So you do have to protect your energy. There's no question about it.
My first real big experience that made me realize how important that was when I did my first ayahuasca sessions in Peru. It was back in 2016, and I actually went to a place called Etnica's, which was an integrative medicine clinic about an hour outside of Cusco. And there was a physician there, a nurse, along with a psychologist and the shamans. And we were able to integrate afterwards, and my first 4 ceremonies were very difficult. It was a lot of purging and physically draining, but also emotionally and spiritually. And one of the questions I had was, how come there's a lot of this negative, heavy, dark energy within me? Because I've always thought of myself as being a nice person, that I'm not an evil person, that I would have all these negative entities or energies within me. But then, after discussing it with the team, one of the things that we realized was that, all the times I've worked with traumatic brain injury patients and their families, and all of this heavy, dense energy that surrounds that, I never protected myself. And I never, like I said, cleared my energy. So all those years, I absorbed it into my energetic system, and it basically affected me and clogged my ability to have optimal flow within my energetics, but it also prevented me from really feeling vibrant and having lots of energy, because it was like being bogged down.
Right.
So it's a big problem in the healthcare professions that we're never taught about that it's something really that should be, like I said, taught in medical school, that we have to do these simple practices that protects our energetic field, so that we don't become ill and absorb that.
Your bodies speak to you. When I got vertigo, I literally was out of balance. I couldn't keep my balance. That was my body's message to me. Your life is out of balance. So when that vertigo forced me for 3 weeks to cancel my events, lay down in bed, just be tired, just do nothing. It was very difficult for me as a like go, 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 do, right? But my body forced me, it's like, no, you stop, you stop. You just lay down, rest, no event, you cancel everything. And then I did a map session, I got a map session. The message was very clear, the insight was received that literally my affirmation was, it is okay to do nothing and just be, and instead just take inspired actions, right? Because when you take time with yourself and you're connected with your higher self, it tells you what are the things you have on your endless to-do list are important to do. The picture I imagine is a bird. You look at a bird, they flap their wings and then they go like this, they float. So it's a beautiful balance between effort and ease.
Yes.
But we are like effort.
Exactly.
We just haven't learned the ease part of it. So you do this, flap your wings and then let it go.
Right.
And the second part of affirmation was, it's okay to take care of myself before I take care of anybody else.
Yes.
So our bodies talk to us, sometimes in the form of disease.
Right.
But they have a message for us.
Exactly.
And we need to find out that message. And once I found that message, I don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
I don't.
No.
Many people told me you're going to have this for months and months, you're going to have physical therapy. It's gone. That is the meaning of energy, understanding energy and physical symptoms.
Exactly. It's finding out what that lesson was that you had to learn.
Exactly. People with cancer, with rheumatoid arthritis, with multiple sclerosis, many of them comes from not saying no, being nice. What does it mean to be nice? You never say no. Anybody asks you anything, you do it.
No boundaries.
No boundaries, right? And then at some point your body says, okay, you're not going to say no, I'm going to say no. No, we're not doing this. When people address those issues, they can have a spontaneous healing. I am convinced that our bodies take it, and then at some point it's like, okay, he's not listening, she's not listening. I'm putting her down.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think, you know, both of us definitely are prime examples of that, like our own struggles with health and mental health. You know, one of the interests too, because you're an oncologist, is the concept of cancer and how you treat cancer holistically. And one of the interesting things that I read was, for example, like you said, breast cancer patients oftentimes have a certain type of personality, and that, you know, oftentimes these women develop breast cancer because they're not taking care of themselves and not nourishing themselves, and the breast itself is what? The symbol of nourishment. And so if you're not giving yourself nourishment, then it's signaling, hey, this part needs attention.
Right.
And one of the big messages that I took from some of the holistic strategies was this concept of fighting cancer and killing cancer.
Yes.
And it's, again, it's a masculine way of thinking. I'm going to beat it, I'm going to do something, I'm going to take it out and chop it and blow it up, you know, kind of thing. Where, and when you look at the holistic way of thinking, it's the feminine approach, saying, hey, that part is saying there's something wrong and something missing.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, I'm going to kill you, you say, what is it that you need?
Exactly.
What is it that I need to do to make you happy and whole? It's like a revolutionary way of thinking about our health, and especially something like cancer.
I believe that Western medicine, allopathic medicine, is very good in acute phase of disease.
Yes.
You have a stroke, you don't want to be doing CAP.
Right, exactly.
You want to go to emergency room.
Right.
You have 5 hours. I by no means consider CAP or MAP alternative treatments. They are complementary. Where as an oncologist, I see what is missing piece in oncology, for example, is that, okay, you got your radiation, you got your chemotherapy, Now, okay, I'll see you in 6 months. Make sure you come every 6 months so we catch the recurrence early, right? That's not really the question. The question is, what caused this cancer? I don't know is not good enough. Now, a lot of physicians think that cancer is genetic. Only 10% of cancers are genetic, only 10%. 90% have nothing. They call them sporadic. I used to have this talk, which was very popular in Houston, called "Cancer is an Accident." And I was so convinced about my talk that, you know, just like you drive a car and, you know, depending on whether it's rainy and whether your car has been maintained well, what state of mind you are. And people love this, like, oh, great, cancer is an accident. It's no accident, zero. It's like something that is a matter of when it's gonna happen. So the reason that I consider these modalities, such as MAP, especially when it comes to cancer, there is absolutely proven link between childhood traumas, adulthood traumas, and serious illnesses, including cancer. So, okay, you got your radiation, you got chemotherapy, you're cancer-free now. Let's sit down and figure out what is the root of your disease.
Right.
Address that. So, I haven't really abandoned oncology. I'm just adding a piece to it
Yes.
that most of my oncologist colleagues are not providing. So I'm like, we have a lot of great radiation oncologists. Let them do radiation. I'm going to do MAP
Right.
and kind of address that.
I feel the same way because you know, my field is neuro rehab and brain injury, and we oftentimes, like your field, is resort to the pharmaceuticals or certain procedures to make our patients' symptoms decrease and so on. But, you know, if any field or anybody who goes into the hospital and gets ill, there's always this trauma that's behind that. I mean, of course, it's in brain injury, it's the physical trauma, but there's also the emotional trauma of actually having the accident, remembering the accident. Oftentimes we don't address that.
Yes.
You know, and it's sad because I know certain reasons why. I mean, first of all, when I was doing outpatient clinics, we had 15 minutes to discuss with the patient, and certainly, yeah, I would love to be able to sit down with them and delve into their emotions and what's going on. But when you open that up and you open up that emotion, oftentimes you have to have somebody to follow up with that. In terms of, okay, now I've opened up Pandora's box,
Right.
and they're spilling out, you know, all their emotions and feeling. But am I going to have time to take care of that person?
Right,
and
right.
who is going to take care of that
Right,
person?
right.
We don't even have in the regular hospitals, you know, somebody that can be supporting them after that, or even a psychologist, or sometimes a social worker. We ask a social worker, but do social workers have time to spend with the patients?
Right.
No.
No.
So it's so challenging for us in this type of environment
Right.
to really address these patients or these issues the way we really want to.
And you know, as somebody who had suffered from a lot of traumas, and I did 30 years of therapy, I did everything that psychiatry, psychology had to offer me. It did not really get to the root of it. It was just, I was grateful for it because it carried me for 30 years until I got to know MAP. But having that neutralized in 6 sessions, I mean, I had to do it, and I understand why a physician doesn't want to open that Pandora's box, but I think really it has to be standard of care for any history that we take from any physician. And that's one of the most popular questions. How many of physicians you have been to recently asked you about your childhood trauma? Zero. Right. It has to be in there. Hopefully, I'm hoping that I am alive to see that day that would be a question that physicians ask their patients.
Yes, I mean, there's a lot of evidence now, the ACE studies, that indicate that these challenges early on result in problems in adulthood with diseases and risk for cardiac and cancers. I mean, there's a pandemic, right, of this traumatic episodes in childhood, but yet it isn't talked about, and truly there isn't a system in place in most places that address it. And then also I think it's the stigma of these things being brought up, and a lot of the patients don't feel comfortable talking about it because, you know, it's often thought it's something that you should keep behind closet doors.
I'm so proud of people that despite all the pressure from outside, all the stigma, that, oh, she must have lost her mind, you know, what is she talking about?
Yes.
This is not professional, like, you know, to be brave enough to come out and say, yeah, you're doing a good job for acute phase, for chronic, you're not. And these modalities are absolutely complementary and integrative modalities. I'm really proud, and I'm sure that no matter what the speed, whether it's slow or fast or whatever, we will get there.
Yes.
Where everybody understands it.
Yes, and I do think that the time has come.
Yes.
Where more people are seeking it, and also more of our colleagues and physicians are really understanding that we need to be able to look at other options.
Absolutely.
And I know we have, you know, shared this in discussion is, and how do we, you know, get out of that, and how can we help others find a way to realign and find passion and enjoy in what they do again?
You know, I don't recommend everybody leaves the system, but I left system a little bit over a year ago because I felt that with the energy modalities that I was healed with, and now I wanted to offer it to other individuals, I couldn't do that in clinic.
Right.
You're in a clinic in a system. Like there's a board of so-and-so, there's so many physicians, and you share these physicians, and you can't tell my patient about that, and you can't talk about that in clinic. I was like, and I'm out of here. So obviously that's not my suggestion for improving the system, but when you and I out of the system can then freely speak about this modality that's very, very proven, helpful, hopefully with communities that we are building among ourselves, physicians and spiritual healers and everybody else, instead of rejecting each other and each other's modality, then hopefully it just kind of gradually expands and becomes more and more inclusive, and more physicians join, and then we kind of overcome the system and we affect the system in a positive way.
I thank you so much for this wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
I'm always,
I
always loving talking with you and exploring these issues and catching up on what you're doing.
Absolutely, same here. And you're always coming something new. We all discover new stuff and bring it and do it together. And I love it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.